Welcome back. Welcome back to Journey Through Alkebulan. I am Mahogany. To all my loyal subscribers, I want to say Asante Sana, Karibu Tena. And to all of my new viewers who are hopefully my new subscribers, I want to say Karibu, Asante for your viewership. Okay, so you guys, there is quite a bit of us, hearkening to the divine call to come back home. And that's all well, good, wonderful, blissful, beautiful. However, this subject needs to be spoken about. So, however, some of us are coming by ourselves. Some of us are coming with children, or some are coming as a family. And we may be interested in rooming with someone, whether it be temporarily or for long term. So this video is about, some of the things that you need to be thinking about prior to committing to sharing a home with someone. Okay, so number one, I really feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but it's happened. If you don't know the person, do not move in with them and expect everything to be good and gravy. Of course, there are exceptions to that rule, and sometimes it may work out. Is it wise? No, it isn't. It's really good that you build a solid foundation of a friendship with someone before you decide to move in with them, or if it's multiple people, just making sure that everyone knows each other and knows each other well. If you happen to meet other diasporans on a particular group chat, and you guys have, been chatting for, let's say, a couple of months, and you guys are hitting it off well and great. And so you feel like, oh, this is a person I feel like I could live with. I would encourage you to take more time. 60 days is not enough time most often to get to know someone. And I say most often because there are rare occasions where someone happens to be spiritually inclined and they can read energy very well. And if you are not that person, I would employ you to take more time to get to know the person or persons who you are deciding to share a home space with. And it's great when you're talking about surface level things like, oh, you from the Chi? Oh, I'm from the Chi. Oh, you from DC? Oh, I'm from DC. Yeah, go, or whatever, whatever it is, little minor, commonalities that you all may have. It's really important that you go deeper into really knowing who this person or these people are, past, where were you born? Oh, I like pizza. Oh, pizza is my favorite food. Favorite foods, the same design style, or, things like that. Go deeper, get to know the soul, that you are engaging with. And so just learning about them. And we're moving into the age of knowing, and we're returning, the physical is fleeting away, and we're returning back to our spiritual selves in a spiritual dimension. And so it would be great if you could get the birth date of that person. And then if you know your chart, your natal chart, and you can compare it with theirs, and then that way you can see, if this person is someone that you can really share a home with. You may find when you do that it's probably not a good idea. Or you may find areas where you align very well, but there are just certain areas where that may pose a problem, and then that way you can talk about them and figure out solutions so that you can avoid uncomfortable situations or confrontation, just knowing what you know about that person and what you know about yourself ahead of time. So if that person feels comfortable with giving you their birthday, and allowing you to do their natal chart, if you know how, I think that's a good idea. But just really going past the physical and really reading the energy of that person, seeing their aura, seeing what type of energy is on the other end of the phone or in front of you, however you all are engaging with one another. Very, very, very important. Just knowing if this person has any, mental ailments. That's important. And I know that, some people may not feel comfortable divulging that information, but that's also important to know. Where we are a family, we are a community, and so we all have healing to do. Let me just put that out there. Of course, some more than others, but we all have work to do, and we all have been hurt. We all have been abused and, disenfranchised. We have been oppressed consistently. So we have collectively a lot of healing to do. So there is no shame in, sharing with someone that you're wanting to share a home with, about any mental impairments that you may have. And that way, that person knows what they're getting into. They have, they can make a conscious decision to live with you, or say, you know what, that's probably not something that I could handle. And that's if it's, again, not controlled. Or maybe, you might have an episode if you're dealing with someone who's bipolar and they go through their, their manic, their manic states. So it's very important that those things about people. If they have any health issues, maybe someone is diabetic, maybe someone, that person is suffers from epilepsy, those are things that you all need to be discussing. That way, the person can prepare themselves to render aid if they need to. But if they don't know, they can be caught off guard. And you could probably find yourself in a position where that can be life-threatening, because this person was not prepared to render the aid that you need because you did not divulge the information about your health. Those things are very, very important. Again, if you're going to share something as intimate as a home, then you should be willing to allow that person into yourself. Allow them to go deeper, to know who they're actually rooming with. On both ends, it's very important. So that's why it takes time, because some may not feel comfortable, which I don't blame you. Just someone that you've just met maybe 30 to 60 days ago, and you're just telling them, oh, by the way, I suffer from bipolar. I am bipolar, or I suffer from depression, or I am in recovery. I have a drug addiction, alcoholism, whatever it is. You may not feel comfortable doing it. That's why it takes time to build that solid foundation of a relationship where you can really know the inner workings of that person, the fabric of that person, and feel comfortable enough to share that type of information, or just say, you know what, no, this is not the person that I trust enough to share that type of information. And if you can't, then it's probably a good idea that you also decide not to room, with them. You know, there are situations where, you know, of course, you can do the Airbnb, and no, you don't divulge that information to hosts of Airbnbs. Most often, you know, in those situations, either you're renting a house, which is by yourself, and some you may be renting a room, and that can also pose a problem in those situations as well. You know, if you're in someone's home and you're sharing their space, and you are to become ill, fall ill, it's important, you know, that people know, you know, those things, so that they can better assist you, so that they can help you, especially if you're coming by yourself and you don't have someone who is aware of these things with you. You know, it's important just to get to know the inner workings of your, you know, your sisters and brothers that you're thinking about sharing a home with. It's a very intimate, it's like very intimate to share a home with someone. And especially if you're planning to do it on, you know, long term, it's also, you know, it's very important that we stop being shy, stop being bashful, stop being, you know, embarrassed, and we open up just a bit, and letting each other in just a bit when we're considering, you know, sharing such an intimate space. Also, very important to ask is, you know, if either, you know, party has no children, that can pose a problem. You know, maybe, you know, the kids, especially if they're toddlers, they're young, you know, or even they could be, you know, teenagers and you know, just playing, and you know, they get up early, especially, you know, if you're dealing with a toddler. I remember when my son was a toddler, he was a handful. I mean, he would get up on his own. I mean, he walked before one, so he would get up, he'd be holding on to things, going to explore the entire house, you know, banging on shit, like, you know, just doing his thing, being curious and discovering the world and environment around him. And that could pose a problem, you know, if the other person does not have children, and if they like to, you know, sleep in the morning, or if they're sensitive to noise, that could pose a problem. So just finding out, you know, if the people, you know, if the parties involved have children, and how you're going to, you know, navigate that. If you know, again, are sensitive to noise, you know, that could pose a problem. So just finding those things out. How you're also talk about the finances, talk about the, you know, how you're going to divide the financial responsibilities. Talk about that ahead of time. You know, here in on the continent, everything is prepaid, and so you know, local electricity is expensive. I know in on the Dar side here, it's very much so more expensive than it was, you know, and than it is in Arusha. And so wherever you are on the continent, this is not just applicable to those who may be in Tanzania. This is applicable to wherever you are on our beautiful continent, that, you know, you are proactive about working out the ins and outs about your cohabitation. So yeah, just figuring that out, figuring out usage, you know, of the electricity, and maybe, you know, you want to set a timer on, you know, baths or AC or things of that nature. Or maybe you're just like, nah, whatever it is, then we'll just divvy it up. You know, I don't want to have to micromanage, you know, my usage. That's also fine too, as long as there is a mutual understanding, you know, of how those bills are going to be satisfied. Very, very, very important. So the moral of this video is go deeper. You know, don't just scratch the surface. Go deeper and, you know, really get to know the fabric of that womb man or man. Really get to, you know who they are, know how they operate, know how they work. And like I said, we're returning to our spiritual selves. Okay, so in our Kebulon, the tradition is, you know, you don't name the child until maybe 7 days, you know, 7 days. It takes a lot of cultures within our continent to name the children. Why? It's because they take time to get to know the personality of that being that's before them, and they want to make sure that they give that child a name that suits them, that describes them and their personality by, you know, observation, them taking the time to observe them for 1 week to see, you know, what type of characteristics that child and or children are exhibiting and displaying, and then they name the child. So according to, you know, those characteristics. And so it's just important. Use your spiritual eye. Use your spiritual eye. Okay? It is your first eye. It is not your third eye. And if it is not open, you know, go by observation. You know, ask the right questions. You know yourself, hopefully. And you know the things that you like, you know the things you don't like, you know the things that frustrate you, that bother you, your pet peeves. And so kind of ask questions that will give you the answers, you know, to those things that, you know, that are important to you and that you need to know so that you can live in peace. So yeah, I would not recommend that you just, you know, decide to room with someone just because you guys hit it off, you know, on a group chat, you know, for 30 days, 60 days, or what have you. And especially if you did not go beneath the surface and really get to know that person, you know. So, yeah, that's my advice for you guys. Just to be very, very careful. Be very, very careful about who you decide to share your home with. You know, like I said, some people aren't doing well mentally. They aren't. And so you can put yourself in danger, you know, and just because you did not do your due diligence in really getting to know the person that you have decided to share your home with. And this is not to scare anyone away from the idea of cohabitating with fellow diasporans. That's a beautiful thing. Community is beautiful. It just means that you have to use common sense, you know, as well. And just make sure that you do your due diligence, okay? We do want to, you know, be together, but we also want to be safe. All right? All right, you guys. So that's all I have for today. So until next time, you all be good.